Still to come on Neighborhood Journal, we're going to take you to a museum within a museum that shows us an interactive display of the instrument that rocked the world. It's the perfect marriage of the physics of distance and amplitude. You throw in a little human emotion and some creativity in this device here, and you can rock the world. Until now, there has never been a museum in the history of the world dedicated to the guitar.
The first guitar recorded in America was in 1594. I mean, that's not too long after Columbus showed up.
There are more guitars sold in the United States than all other instruments combined. There are 3 million brand new guitars sold every year in the United States, plus the nearly 2 million more on the used, antique, and vintage markets.
And there's been no museum for it up until now. I mean, there's teacup museums, there's barbed wire museums. It seems like the world's most popular instrument should have its own museum. Instead of just putting it in some city where it might end up that nobody wants to go to, Cleveland.
The idea was to tour the artifacts around the country in roughly 15 cities in the efforts to find a permanent home, and the Discovery Museum in Bridgeport, CT made for a great world premiere. The goal of the National Guitar Museum is to contain the evolution of the guitar and to bring it to the public in a form that is not only visually stimulating, but educational and interactive.
You could spin this, and then when you pluck it, you actually see the different vibrations, the waveforms in each of the strings as you're looking through. So you can see that there's more going on with the string than simply one back and forth. You're actually creating sound waves and different frequencies. It's all about how much tension is going on, how thick the string is.
The type of wood.
Exactly. You get a different sound. Spruce, it's kind of bright.
Completely
maple.
different.
But then you get plywood.
There's a prehistoric guitar over there. There are guitars and stringed instruments from all different cultures since Babylonian times.
The nyatiti, which is still played in Africa today, primarily in Kenya and Tanzania.
Do they know about the electric guitar?
They do,
All
but
right.
they don't. They still use this. In the early 1900s in America, bands had banjos and mandolins, which are really loud instruments. So the guitar couldn't kind of compete with that, especially because it had nylon or gut strings then. Right. Gut strings being sheep intestines.
Sheep intestines.
People like Leo Fender, who wasn't a guitar player, saw the problem of how can a guitar player keep up with the rest of the band for volume, and he figured out ways of making an affordable electric guitar. And then all of a sudden, all of these guitarists took this instrument and just boom, twisted the music world around and went from being backup players to being the leads of the world.
The reason the guitar became so important to pop culture, especially in the blues and folk, is that it was one of the only instruments you could pick up, carry with you, and sing and play at the same time. You can't sing with a flute, you can't carry a piano.
And the purpose of this one-of-a-kind museum is to understand the history, cultural impact, and science behind the guitar. Can't beat that sound.
And there's something about holding a guitar close to you and turning it really loud that you don't get from any other instrument. In this kind of amp, you've got tubes underneath, you've got electronics up top, you've got one big 12-inch speaker, and this thing could peel paint on the right day.
It just goes to loud. It is really loud.
Yeah.
And there was even an interactive display telling us what loud is. Jackhammer's pretty loud, but not, that's like 5 decibels louder than the guitar?
Yeah, when it's up close.
Yeah.
194 decibels, sound ceases. It's no longer, whatever force is creating that sound just becomes a shock wave and disintegrates things. So it doesn't, you can't hear it because it'll disintegrate you.
I want that guitar. And there's even an interactive display that teaches music memory.
So follow the riffs.
Iron Man.
Mm-hmm. Good. I don't even think I could do that with these.
Are you musically inclined?
No, I'm musically reclined. I have to sit back and be the audience for the guys who really know what they're doing.
Do you play guitar?
I do play guitar.
What's your weapon of choice?
My weapon of choice is a Gibson SG.
So then let me ask you this. Tony Iommi or Angus Young?
Tony Iommi. And Tony Iommi just agreed last week to be on our board of advisors.
Who wouldn't want this guy on their board of advisors? And whether it's the history of guitar that interests you or those who make history with the guitar, the National Guitar Museum has it all. Even the world's largest guitar, to acknowledge the instrument that rocked the world. Or at least my world.
Very nicely done.